Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for joining me on today's video. I wanted to talk about something that's been on my mind lately, so let's get into it. And this is, how do we find peace in a restless world? And this is certainly quite a challenge for a lot of us. How do we find peace when this world that we live in today is moving at 24/7 at an extremely fast pace? The world's in your face constantly, and how do we step out of it? It's easy to say how to do it, but actually doing it is easier said than done. Now, I think I could confidently say everybody watching this has one of these, a smartphone, and this keeps us plugged in, connected on a much scarier level than I think a lot of us realise. And I'm always trying to think of ways to get rid of my smartphone. The problem I have particularly is I live in a different country now to the rest of my family, and you'll know that using a landline to call back to another country can get quite expensive. So with mobile phones, you've got platforms like WhatsApp and other ones. There's Signal, and I'm sure there's some other ones out there as well, where you can speak for any length of time. It's all kind of covered in your internet coverage. So in comparison to using a landline, it's extremely cheap. So I would say that's the only reason it keeps me connected to that smartphone, is being able to communicate with my family. If not, I would get rid of it in a heartbeat. I really don't like how it keeps the hooks in me. So it is a daily challenge trying to limit my viewings on that. But if anybody out there knows any way how to communicate with families overseas on a kind of cheap basis, do let me know. I'd really appreciate it, and it would allow me to disconnect from that thing. Some people will say with a smartphone it's like TV, it's programming you. But I think the smartphone is much more toxic. It does almost brainwash you, but it grabs your attention. It's such a clever device. It keeps you looking, keeps you scrolling. And I guess I'm referring to like social platforms, like the timelines that they've all adopted now, the shorts. You can write off 15 minutes of your day, maybe more, depending on the individual, so easily just by constantly flicking, and it's quite toxic and dangerous. And we know these platforms all work on algorithms, and they're very clever, and usually they connect with negative attention, and something that you hate, they can show you that over and over, which is a little bit concerning. There's not a lot of, I think, positive stuff, or there maybe is, but with the algorithm it keeps you hooked into more the negative aspects, I think, because there's certainly a lot more of that out there than the positive. And I think if you click one, it's amazing how the timeline can almost be overwhelmed with that, and it can bring you down, and you can keep on scrolling, and it kind of almost intoxicates you. This video may not get a lot of likes because I'm just talking generally, but if we took something that people hate, that's quite popular in the media now, like the mass immigration in Europe and the UK, or transgender or woke, people hate all this stuff, but it'll get more and more views. I could do a video about that. I'll get more and more views about this. Same way like the restrictions on the chicken video in the UK. It's almost at 40,000 views now, but it's a topic that people are really hating, and yeah, it's not good that a platform keeps you hooked into all that kind of hate and negativity. Should we leave these platforms if that's all they're promoting, or is that just the way of the world that it's going and keeping us hooked there? It's certainly not good, that kind of negativity, but that seems to be the modern society that we live in. I'm trying to stay away from that as much in this channel, not bring too much negative doom and gloom, but certainly mix it up so people can try and find a bit more peace in this channel. As the channel grows, I'll probably bring down the current affair videos and up the more relaxing, peaceful, disconnecting kind of videos to let people find peace through this channel. And I think that's quite important to me anyway, that my viewers get that. And you want to stay away from negative people who have that kind of sort of energy that stresses you out. You want to associate people with good energy, not looking at all the negative aspects in life, because that can quite easily bring you down. So that's quite important, to choose your right social ring, I guess I would call it. It might seem heartless at times and cold, but if these people are just feeding off negative energy, they're just going to bring you down to their level, and that's not healthy for you. If you're trying to be positive and at peace in the world, you have to cut the cord with these people. And I know it's made to be tough and seem cold and heartless, but for the sake of your own health, you should be doing that. You know, some people will say, oh, stop watching the news, it's so depressing, but I think watching certain YouTube channels and social media kind of timelines can do even more damage, because it's almost like quite a concentrated negative aspect, similar to the news, but a lot kind of higher concentration. There's a lot of channels on YouTube, preppers, and these channels, you'd think they're positive in a way, because you know it is good to prepare and always look after yourself. You don't want to let the cupboards run dry, or you know, when you turn that tap on, expect water to flow out of it, or when you flick that light switch on to have electricity. You should always have quite an independent life. But with these prepper channels, everything's going to end tomorrow. It's chaos, World War III, end of the times. And if you get engrossed in these channels, more and more will come up on YouTube, and that's just going to bring you down without even knowing. Nobody has a crystal ball anyway. Like I say, there's nothing wrong with being prepared, but I think you have to be selective on what you watch and don't get too engrossed in these channels, like there's no tomorrow. And instead of scrolling endlessly through the social platforms and maybe losing yourself in negative aspects, you know, maybe pick up a book that has of interest, and whatever you like, and read that. And when you pick up a book, you're training your mind to think thoroughly about things, be creative. You know, get your mind to use its imagination, put a picture to those words, and I think that can be quite important for your brain, helping it develop and grow, not just sitting there with a phone in front of your face and doom, 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 flicking, or on the TV like a zombie. It's almost just switching your brain off and making you dumb. If you can tell if things are stressful, you're better off just trying to stay away from it, or reduce it, or do something to reduce that stress and create positive energy in your life. I'm quite lucky. I'm sitting here, I have a lot of free time on my hands, But I do get it. People will probably be sitting in the office by now, or at their site where they work. They have to run out the door early in the morning, you know, shove breakfast down their throat, jump in the car, scream down the road, get to the office or wherever they work. And then that's them all day, work until 5, pack up the bags, scream home, shove food down their throat, sit on the sofa, go to bed. And that can be a daily routine for a lot of people. But it's amazing how you can find wee pockets of time in that day. You know, not everybody doesn't have to work constantly from the minute they arrive there to the minute they finish. Instead of picking up that phone and making that excuse, oh, I need to check my emails, I was expecting something. Yeah, expecting something, okay. But then you check your email and then, oh, you jump across to YouTube and there you go, you're flicking for 20 minutes and oh, that's your lunch break done. Instead of picking up that phone, you know, if you know there's not really any emails coming in or any reason, pick up a book, go for a walk, listen to the birds, listen to the wind blowing through the leaves, just disconnect for that half hour, whatever time you get for your lunch. I remember when I used to have lunch at one of my old jobs. I was my boss again, and we always had a clean hour to sit and relax. And I was very lucky. The view out my window, it was all trees and bushes, and there was no cars going past. It was very peaceful, and you could just put your feet up once you had some lunch, open the window if it was summer, and just listen to those natural sounds. Sometimes you would doze off for 10 minutes if it was quite warm, but you know, you gain clarity, you brought yourself back into the centre, you almost reset, ready for the afternoon. It was nice. And then again, I was quite fortunate with that job. You know, when I think about it, where I worked, I was only a 5 to 10 minute walk away to my home. And that walk, I lived in quite a small town, so that walk consisted of going up a farm track, which was lined with trees, birds, natural sounds. So it was kind of like a de-stress walking up there. It was beautiful, and that was the same in the morning for going to work. So I was really lucky in that way that I didn't really have to work hard to get that peaceful walk in the morning, that relax in the evening, at lunchtime, and then that peaceful walk back home. You know, that gave me maybe half an hour to 3/4 an hour of peace, of calming in me. But I get if a lot of people don't have that if they work on the side, but you've got to try and bring that calmness into your life. Like I said, pick up the book, go for a walk down to a local park if there's a park close by. Just try and cancel out all that chaos. Don't pick up the phone. I feel I'm very lucky in the life I have. I don't have a garage full of cars or a 10-bedroom mansion. Those things aren't important to me. Having nature around me, being able to connect with nature quite quickly is what's important to me. That brings inner peace and allows me to disconnect. But yeah, when you think back to when you were younger, you know, people never had mobile phones and everybody got along great. They really did. I sometimes have to really question that smartphone, and it's not healthy for the planet, yourself, your civilization, to be honest. But we'll figure it out as we go. You need to go out there and find peace and create a beautiful life for yourself. There's so many ways to do it. Don't let that control your life. Try and find ways to disconnect from it, like the book, like the walk. There's always something that you can do to give yourself a better, healthier life and feel more positive and just move on up from there. Well, if you got this far in the video, thanks for watching, and if you liked it, give it a thumbs up and do subscribe, please. we're creeping up to 500, we're getting there, and just another 500 to go, so almost halfway. But have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks, bye.